Welcome to Nuria's Mastermind. We have another episode today, and I'm so excited for it because I have my beautiful, amazing, intelligent, bright, and she literally looks like a supermodel, Masha Bobrovskaya, on the show with me. Welcome, Masha.
Hi, baby. I'm so excited to be here and thank you for the kind words. And you can be my Bumble profile editor from now on if you'd like. That sounds great, what you said.
That's awesome. I mean, I can really continue on and on describing you. So
You can do that.
there's a lot of positive things about you that I know. So, yes, welcome to the show. I'm delighted to have you here. I'm going to start off with just sharing our story of how we met, and feel free to jump in. But we both attended this really amazing event in the fall of 2019, right before everything kind of paused. And it was through Summit. That was the event. That was the tribe, the crew. And I don't remember exactly like the moment we met, but we kept running into each other.
Yes.
And I was like, I need to know this girl. And then we ended up wearing the same outfit one night, and then we
We were
just
just
have been attached.
matching outfits all the time. Yeah,
What else do you remember about our time meeting? You feel free to add to it.
I was trying to remember like a number of instances, like how we met, like the moment we locked eyes or something like that. And I just don't even like remember that one instance, but I just know that there was life without you in it. And then all of a sudden, like you were in my life. And I don't remember how exactly it happened and what clicked, but then it's like you were just there and you're part of it from that point on. I'm like, that's just, and it completely makes sense to me. I'm like, yes, she's there, as if she always belonged there. So that's, I do remember matching outfits. We had leopard print
Yes.
style shorts, I think, and something. Cute little black kid.
Yeah, and like the same colored top. Yeah, it was
Mhm.
amazing. I feel the same way. It was like once you were in my life, you weren't getting out of my life. And so we definitely had a soul connection pretty
Yeah,
quick.
yes, it's so true. Yes,
So
beautiful.
Masha is quite incredible. And I'll let her share more of her story, but she's an entrepreneur. She lives in Seattle and launched her own spa. How long ago was it? 3, 4 years ago?
No, it's actually we're coming out on full 5 years. Yes,
Oh, wow. Okay.
are.
So a little longer.
Mhm.
And, coming from a completely different country, I've been so impressed by your story that you just had enough bravery to come here to the United States alone. You don't really have family here. You're young. Get a job at Microsoft, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm gonna go for the American dream and figured out a way to make it happen.
Yeah,
And so I will turn the mic over to you because I'm fascinated by it, and I think it's so amazing that you can inspire other people to really go for their dreams.
thank you. Those are very kind words, and I'm endlessly fascinated and inspired by you, actually. So, but my story, like when I look back, maybe it sounds like a lot has happened in the last few years, well, last decade, really. But as I was living it, day at a time, it didn't feel like I had a huge master plan. When I left Russia, where I'm from originally, I wasn't trying to like escape at any cost. I wasn't not loving my life there. I just wanted more, and I wanted adventure, and I wanted more opportunities for my life to be independent and kind of live my life as it unfolds. I didn't know how it was going to look like, but in Russia, we have such a strong Soviet history. And even when I was growing up, there's still a lot of social expectations of what a life should look like, all the steps and all the check boxes you tick off. And then just since my childhood, I knew I don't really fit in boxes too well. And I knew that if I stayed in that country, like it would be harder for me to explore, experiment, and find myself without disappointing something or somebody in that country by not fitting into those squares. So I had this
Mm.
intuitive earning to just go somewhere else and see what happens. And that's exactly what I did. I went to Alaska actually at first, since it was the cheapest college out of the whole country. And it's not
You're
an
gonna go to the coldest town
yes.
and the cheapest.
Yeah, it's not like I didn't start easy. And my family is fantastic. You know, they are amazing parents, both engineers with very solid middle class in Russia, but to afford American education, it's a different just cost of living. So that's how I ended up in Anchorage, living my dream. Um, but yeah, so I got
How
my
old were you? How
I
old were you when you moved?
I was 19. So it was kind of an exchange program. So I had 2 years in Russian university, and then a group of us came to Anchorage in Alaska. So
Okay.
that kind of helped a little bit ease into it. As you mentioned, I don't have any family here and I didn't know anybody in the whole country. But having a little gang of us, like, it was like 10 people and we all kind of bonded in Russia. And then we moved here together. So that was fun. And then, when I was graduating, I just didn't feel ready to go home. I saw a lot of opportunity in this country. I always knew, probably like you did as well, that I didn't really ever feel passionate about career in the company. I never felt
Mm.
like my lifelong journey would be like growing along like a career
In a
corporate.
company.
Yes, I kind of didn't click with that ever. I always had more of a free spirited, adventurous, and curious mind that needed options to thrive. And I felt
Mm.
like corporate environment would squash it, as it proved to be true later down the line. So it kind of like felt like staying in this country would give me better platform to figure out what my life is even going to be about. At 19, I didn't have a clue. I didn't have, one dream I wanted to pursue at any cost. I just wanted to be able to figure it out freely. And I knew that my chances here and the freedom here is greater than at that time in Russia. So I moved to Seattle randomly. I think a lot of people from Anchorage move like either Portland or Seattle or down to California. So I moved to Seattle. I didn't know anybody here either, but it's a great town with a lot of IT jobs, and I ended up working in Microsoft. So that was kind of it at the beginning of the story. And summary about my years at Microsoft, it was about 8 years, and I'm grateful for them. But at no point did I think that that was it. At no point did I think this
Mm.
is where my heart and my soul belong, and this is where I want to spend the rest of my time.
Yeah.
Um, it just took a while to find what it would be that I would go for full on. So yeah, I think my 20s were spent working hard, living the corporate life, trying it on just in case maybe it sticks. While always in the back of my mind, searching and kind of trying on
For
different
more.
ideas. Like, what is it? What is it? What is it out there that I can try on and maybe like get so passionate and convinced by that? I'm like, yes, this is it. This is something I can go for and know that this is it for at least many years I can see coming.
Yeah. How did you, because what did you study in Russia for the 2 years prior to coming here?
So it was finance, and I finished it here. So my degree is in finance, international and corporate finance. Mm, I think again, like coming from
Mar,
Russia,
I told you guys she's intelligent.
I am, I would definitely like, Russians value proper formal education and a professional degree in something that seems like serious or like sets you up for success in life. And felt like finance, doesn't get closer to money than that. So
It's a great thing to learn. I
yeah.
feel like I'm learning some of it, so I'm gonna have to pick your brain on it.
Oh no, I
So
useless.
you go and immerse yourself in the corporate world, although you know in the back of your mind and also intuitively that this isn't it for you. And so maybe share with us a little bit of when it landed for you of like, okay, I need to go and actually either build something or you like when did you have the idea of opening up your spa and yeah, like maybe paint the picture for us of that whole transition period.
Well, it's again like looking back, some things, it's almost like how we met, just it's like the most natural fit and it all it just kind of happens. But I think my journey towards finding my true passion and calling in life, it was there, and I had all the answers since I was maybe 3 years old. I just didn't click and connect all the dots. But ever since I was a kid, I was playing a doctor with all my dolls. I was collecting different like herbs in the garden and making teas for my granny. I was giving her massages,
So cute.
trying to give her like, she had like aches in the body, and I would try to heal her. So I was doing it all alone. But in Russia, we don't even have a concept of wellness or like naturopath doctors or spas. So I had to invent it all in my head. But that was my playtime. And then in my 20s already, I had a couple of health issues where I was made aware of different diets and better ways of taking care of your health. And it kind of came out of necessity that I had to learn a lot of things, how to take care of yourself better if you have certain food sensitivities or whatever happens in life like that. And as I was searching for what is mine, really, a lot of my friends were giving me feedback, and they're like, we all know what's yours. It's all about like wellness and health because that's what you geek out on. That's what you read at
That's
home after
amazing.
work. You can give us supplements for anything we ever need. We can consult you like on skincare needs or whatever. And I was just still kind of in that very much like Russian mindset where I'm like, well, a proper business needs to be around a proper industry, or like an idea, like if I was looking at real estate finance, I was looking at doing like another startup that supports like Microsoft jobs. So the idea of like something is, I don't know how to like say it without passing a judgment that I had that at that time, but it didn't sound like a solid business plan to be going into wellness and beauty when you come,
Yeah.
especially from my
Well,
background.
it makes sense. Like in different cultures, also, I feel like that's very, I get that. Because even in some of my family, that is like the painted picture of expectation of society, like
Mhm.
doctor, you have people in finance, you have attorney. It's like all those things were like what everyone kind of painted my vision for. And so I get it. It's more of a, I feel maybe a cultural thing, programming that you had while you were a little girl that you were like, wait, that's a possibility of a business. That's not a serious, right? Like,
Yes, exactly. And I kind of thought you would get it totally coming from a similar cultural
I
background.
got you, girl. I get it. Yes.
But it's the same. It's like, like I felt like my heart calling was there as a hobby, and it's something you do in your free time. But how
Mhm.
you show up in the world and what you create in the world as your income, as your legacy, if you will, has to be proper and serious. So those two entities
Mm,
for a long time existed separately from me. I'm like, this is where my heart finds its pleasure and joy, and this is where my brain works. But what I learned, and at like late 20s is when I started reading, books on meditation. I started practicing meditation. I started going into more of that mindfulness and kind of going deeper into yourself and accepting things about yourself, whether you have labeled them before as like not serious or not proper enough, but kind of like accepting
mm,
yourself as a well-rounded, like whole human being. And
yes.
I think you probably had similar moments in your journey as well, kind of trying on different things. And really, ultimately, it comes to me as being authentic. And I know that word is being used a lot these days, but truly, the more I can spend my hours in a day living from my heart and speaking
Mm,
genuine, and the more my mind is solving problems in the areas that I'm passionate about, the more joy and love I have in my life, and the more productive I actually can be, and the more supportive I can be to other people and kind of help them along their way. So there was
yeah.
definitely a moment of accepting that maybe what I am about is not what I was trying to be about. And
Ooh.
understanding that I have, like my heart is actually my driver, and I should live the life through the heart rather than my brain and labels and expectations that I got throughout life and picked up everywhere along the way.
Yeah, that is such a beautiful lesson. Like I feel like there are a lot of people out there where that advice is like so important, and it can really help change someone's life, because there is this huge expectation for a lot of people of like what you should be, and you should grow up to be this person, or this is what would be serious, this is not what, or this is something we would not take serious. So you have all of these limitations, and the fact that you recognize that it wasn't fulfilling you, that you weren't really happy in that type of finance corporate world, um, and you followed your heart. Like, how beautiful is that? Because you can be working, you could have stayed working at Microsoft for, forever, gone deeper into finance, and but that wasn't like fulfilling your soul. Like, it wasn't feeding your soul.
And it's so true. And honestly, I wish I almost had like a more romantic story, but I'm a person who is, I don't have a lot of ability to like fake things, and my mind is the same way. Like if my heart is not on fire, if I'm not interested and passionate, I drop to like, I probably drop like half of my IQ points, instantly. I'm like, oh, I'm better at this, but I don't care about this, and my brain just like does not even want to do it. So it was kind of a necessity. I don't think I would have been continuously successful at Microsoft. And also, just I kind of got to a point, as an immigrant, as a girl who came here by herself, like it was somewhat like important for me, for like old original me, to establish the baseline for my life and kind of confidence that I can provide, I can make good money, I can make home in this new country and environment, and I can be more successful. I remember like even looking up at, it's funny, I don't share that a lot, but whenever I got like a promotion at work and increase in my salary, I would compare myself to like median income in the state, in the country. And it was just gratifying and empowering to see that as a 20-some-year-old immigrant who came here with nothing, I was making more than half of the country who was born here and who was born in all these opportunities that I had to figure out my own way. So it gave me a lot of sense of confidence, I guess, but more like that, yes, okay, I'm okay in life.
Self-belief. Yeah. Like, I
Yeah.
got me. Yeah.
Like I think it was kind of like it gave me like a foundation of safety where I felt I can venture out and try something I'm passionate about. And if that doesn't work out, because a lot of small businesses do fail, I kind of felt like I can always go back to it because I had solid skills and I had proven track record of supporting myself in this environment. So I had some skills that I acquired throughout all these years. So I felt like I have a safety net, and that
Yeah.
allowed me to take that risk and to go further a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense. You created your own safety.
Yes.
You found your own
And
safety, and that's amazing. I I do want to touch a little bit on when like, take us to, okay, once the idea was planted on you, your friend said, this is your thing, wellness is your thing. You finally are like, oh, okay, maybe this is the vision. Like,
no.
what was it like for you to, from when the idea was planted, for you to create like a business plan and then take action and actually open it up? Like, give us a little bit of that story.
Well, I'm kind of a person who is a little bit, it's a little hard for me to pull the trigger. I can think a lot, dream a lot, and then the actual moment of going for something, I think maybe because I'm here by myself and I feel the weight of
Mm,
responsibility of commitment like this. So I had this ideas of, okay, maybe it's wellness, but what is it? How is it? I was in that space for a few months where I was growing more and more frustrated with my indecisiveness and also with the lack of like final concept of
mm.
what actually is it going to be. And then the universe decided to give me a nudge, as it always does eventually. I wasn't really a friendly nudge. Maybe it's the one I needed. It was like a slap. Like, but I had an injury. So I slipped and I had a fall
Mm,
that led me to my first serious physical injury and associated pain with that. That months and months down the road led me to try in a form of healing modality, which is called sensory deprivation floating. Um, yes, and when I did my first float, it was just so incredibly healing. And at the same time, I had a completely out of body experience and my first
Wow.
absolutely amazing meditation that when I was done with that first session, I was like, wow, it was like an aha moment. And it was innovative enough to where we didn't have a lot of businesses like this in Seattle. We had only 2 locations that did that. It was interesting enough because really, like, even I didn't know about that therapy for any length of time, really. And I looked around, I checked out the spa I was in. I was like, well, that looks simple enough. I can pull it off. So, and
So
honestly,
awesome.
yeah, and it's
What do
honestly
you call them? Like the where
sensory
you float?
deprivation or float.
Okay.
So that's what it is. Um, yeah. So, and I think looking back, like it's not like I felt like that was the one and only thing I will ever create in wellness, but I finally felt like it's at least a step towards that. As I
Mhm.
ultimately want to create more of a lifestyle brand and offer services in spas as well as in the digital platforms. But I just needed something to get started with. And that was inspiring and powerful enough for me to be like, okay, that's that. And plus, it was helping me healing my shoulder too. So I was like, well, I'll just create my own spa so I can go and get services and then myself.
Help myself and then help other people. I
Exactly.
love it. Yeah.
And that was ultimately like my goal. Like I think that cannot be stressed enough. The book starts with the why and a
Mm.
lot of subjects around that. Like having worked in Microsoft for so long, and my last years there were, I would say, close to miserable. I was making the most I ever made. I was making like more than I wanted to have ever made,
Mm.
and yet I was miserable. My
Yeah.
soul wasn't fulfilled. I would spend money on the weekends. I would take trips. I would buy unnecessary things, and then I would be miserable on Monday going back to the environment that didn't nourish my soul. So
Yeah.
it became pretty apparent to me also looking around that a lot of people in corporate world were burning out. Like right now there is a better culture of work-life balance. And for example, I think the company you've created acknowledges humanity, right? You have meditation room, you do inspirational talks, you care about your employees and you let them grow and you inspire them to. Back in my Microsoft days, it was the culture of grind and just like burn people to the ground. And,
Mm.
there was no nourishing there. And a lot of my coworkers, my managers, I just look at them, I'm like, they're not happy people. They're not healthy people in physical or emotional way, right? And I felt so much empathy for them because they already had mortgages, kids, obligations. They didn't have another dream that they would ever try to escape and pursue. That was basically their life. And I just wanted to create a business that would be a place of healing. And I know it's like a drop in the ocean, right? What's my little spy against like Microsoft and some corporations like that? It's nothing you can say. But at the same time, I just felt like I want to spend my life energy on fighting the good fight and on just contributing to uplifting and healing people in whatever
Mm.
capacity and scale that I can do. And throughout life, I hope to be able to reach more people and have bigger impact. But that was
That's
my
beautiful.
final deciding thought, is like, if I have this vision, if I have this ability, I want to be able to support us and kind of heal us. That's kind of my, I think, from past lives, and maybe have been a healer at some point, is what I'm guessing now. So
That's
I have to
beautiful.
follow.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I It's what an important lesson. And I feel like there's probably some listeners that are feeling a similar way to you, where they might be in a position or at a job where they're just not fulfilled. Perhaps they feel like they're running the rat race because just like you, I've been in that position where, same, I was making a lot of money, running the rat race, hitting high goals, and I just kept seeing myself like almost running around in circles to a point where you wonder like what am I doing all this for? you
Yeah.
know, and so for anyone who's listening where, you know, maybe that's where you're at, or maybe you've had some of these thoughts, we're here to both tell you that there's something way more out there. And Masha is such a perfect example of really reconnecting back to her gifts that she always had while growing up. And she was the nurturer and the healer and the helper. And she really, like, you really have played off your gift. And that's so beautiful. And I think that so many people have such a hard time with, like, what is my passion? What is my why? What do I love to do?
Mhm.
And I always tell them, like, go back to your younger self. You know, what did you love doing? You know, what were your favorite activities? What were your passions back then? Because we have so much data in that past that we have shut down based on many reasons, you know, like parents, perhaps society, expectations. And so you are the perfect example of that reconnection and how you completely played off of that. And you are highly successful in your spa. I know that obviously COVID, you know, that was a big impact to your business as many others. But I know that what you have, and it's such a beautiful place. Maybe tell us a little bit more of some of the things that you have in the spa and some of the services you provide to help people heal.
Well, that's a great question. And maybe it could be a whole other segue because right now I'm in a huge transition phase where I took the time during COVID and the closure and the, pandemic, and I have a different business plan now. And I think I shared some of it briefly with you in our phone
Yeah.
conversations privately. But basically, I am in a place where I'm wanting to let go of that wellness center as it's built now and as it is now, and transition it to the different ownership. And that's a team of people who has other facilities like that in the city and who are amazing and who will continue that legacy forever, where that frees me up to do something else. And I'm kind of charting out. I can't quite share all the details out loud. I'm superstitious, like we don't want to jinx it, anything in Russia. But I have
It's all okay.
but it's also going to be focused on helping people and mostly helping, I guess, women, because that's been another strongest thing that's been coming into my life is my connection to the feminine, to connecting to my female friends and understanding deeper the life journey that a female has in her lifetime and how we go through our 20s and then we transition to 30s, and now I've had so many clients transitioning to 40s, 50s, and 60s, and I hear a lot of conversations around self-love, self-acceptance, confidence, body image issues, and there's a lot of pain that comes with that, and there's a lot of grief, I think, for some women to be going through whatever it can be, like hormonal changes or childbirth, and then the way the body changes and never is the same again. And I think it's, since I don't have kids myself yet, I haven't gone through that, but I am in my mid 30s, so I'm seeing first signs of aging, and things are surprising, right? How this starts shifting all of a sudden in your body, and you're like,
Oh yeah,
"Hey,
we see it. We're like, what is this?
like, did I just not sleep enough for 6 days, or is it just my new face and it just looks a little like last time it was?"
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely start to notice it. Like, what? I didn't know that I had so many grays, or oh my gosh, my skin, you know, I'm starting to it's starting to change. Yeah, it's definitely,
Yeah,
it's true, you guys. It's true. That's just life. It's the
I,
truth.
I don't deny it, but also like I want to accept aging gracefully, but I don't want to not fight a good fight against it either.
You do a really great job, my friend. So
So
when Masha and I are out in the town, typically in LA, that's where we've spent most of our time together. But um, yeah, many times people have no idea how old Masha is.
or
And
you,
so, or how old we are. And so typically people think we're younger because we're very youthful. Like our spirit's very youthful anyway. But
Mhm.
yes, luckily we don't look our age, which is a plus.
God, yes, that is a plus. And it's not genetics is some, but lifestyle choices and the advances in skincare and all of that right now are tremendous. And that's what I'm just excited about right now. And
Yes.
that's my next business venture. I think that's what it's going to focus on, empowering women
Yeah.
through allowing them to make improvements in their appearance while still accepting themselves wholly and fully. So that's kind of what sets my heart
I'm
on fire right now.
excited.
Yes, yes.
This is really exciting. And I have to say that you really embody all of wellness, like you're um, from the inside out. You really take care of yourself. You eat healthy. You actually decided not to drink alcohol a few months back. And if
Yeah,
you want to share with us a little bit of like your reasonings and how that's really helped you just feel healthier and feel like such a balance in your life. And every time I'm around you, I'm like, actually, you really inspire me because I'm not a big drinker anyway. And then when I'm around you, I'm like, oh yeah, I will totally just have tea with you. And as I'm saying this, she's literally drinking her green juice in front of me in front of the camera. So all I'm saying is that she really embodies everything that she's about, and so tell us a little bit about your decision for that and how it's made you just feel even better.
right. So first disclosure, I was never really an alcoholic because I feel like when I tell people
No.
I don't drink, I always get really sad in the face and they're like, oh no. I'm like, no, no, no. I never
That's
had
always
that.
the first assumption. Oh, you must have had a problem. It's like, no, actually, I just don't want to drink anymore.
No, it's really kind of started now. It's been 2.5 years that I don't drink. And it started on January 1, whatever, 2 years ago. It was 2018 or 17. Um, and I usually would do like once every half a year, I would do a cleanse where I would do extra clean eating for a month or so, just to kind of, I don't know, I just like that stuff. So it was just for fun
Yes, makes
mostly.
sense.
But that particular January 1, I was also after a very great New Year's celebration. So I felt particularly hungover.
We
Yeah,
have all been there.
it was a little kind of like, yeah, my friend and I were just eating pho and watching like movies on Netflix all day long. And I was just saying out loud, I'm like, I don't think I need to drink for a long while. I think I have enough fumes in my body right now. So, and it was almost like a bad, but I said, like, I'm not going to drink. I wasn't going to drink for a whole January as my cleanse. But then I'm like, maybe I'll make it 3 months. And at that time, just the idea felt a little wild, right? I was never a heavy drinker like you, but it's just such a part of social interactions, it's such
Hmm.
a part of happy hour culture, like with my
Hmm.
girlfriends after work. It's such a part of networking events where you get a drink and start talking and networking with people, and some business events. When you travel, it's just kind of like a drink is a part of lifestyle, I guess.
Yes. Hmm.
um, so it was just interesting to me, kind of how it would feel like not to have it, and my mind is curious. So it was mostly a question to myself, like, can I do it? Like, how would I feel in those settings where having a drink in a new environment helps you ease into it or feel just a little bit more yourself? And it was really just an inquiry and curiosity, like, can I do it? Will I be still myself? Because I'm usually the fun, the outgoing one, the loud one. I'm usually like not bothered by like social anxiety, and I'm like, is it because I have a drink first and that makes it easier for me, or will I be able to be myself without that? So it's all those kind
Yeah.
of questions all on January 1. But I felt
You
like,
went deep, girl. You went deep.
no, I'm kidding. Probably January 1, I was just like, no more alcohol. But as the time moved on, and you probably know yourself too, like, habits take 6 weeks if they're easy to form, and the hard ones take up to 3 months to form and become kind of like your second nature. So I feel like those first 3 months were more challenging than ever, well, than the rest of the journey rather, because there are so many situations, all that I mentioned, where it's just a habit, and just you
Mm.
have your brain thinks like, if you're at home cooking dinner, why not have a glass of wine to relax?
Yeah.
Why not just have a drink to unwind? And that was just so built in. It was like associations, right? Like, if you're relaxing, you
Mhm.
should have a drink. If you're celebrating, you celebrate it with a drink. If you're upset, you'll mellow yourself out with a drink. It was just always like anchoring activities in life or events in life. So I got more curious, and I was like, can I possibly go through a whole year and like through all life events, celebrations, and upsets, and moments when I'm happy and I want to feel maybe I'm more happy, or the moments when I'm down. And I'm like, can I just go through the whole life cycle without the amplification or a crutch that alcohol can be both, right? Sometimes.
Mm.
So it was really more of a mental exercise and a more of a question to learn myself deeper and to understand what I am without that. Because,
Mm.
like I had my first drinks when I was like maybe 17 or 18. And then I've never had like a year of my life when I didn't drink,
Yeah.
like habitually or like, on occasion. So it was just really curious. I'm like, I'm 30 something years old and I've never known myself and my psyche and my emotions without that.
Mhm.
Um, so I think it was just kind of an exercise in curiosity. In the first 3, 4, 6 months, it was also like a badge of honor to be like, I don't drink now. And people definitely react to that. Um, but I have to say, it was like it was definitely a transitioning moment. And even some of my social circles, I couldn't sustain anymore. I realized that some of the people I would see in larger environments, I could only enjoy them when they were drinking, I was drinking, and there was
Oh,
no really
wow.
value for me. And when I was there sober, I just was like I was like, no, I don't feel this vibe. And I would
Oh,
take an Uber and go
wow.
home on many Friday and Saturday nights where usually I would just carry on. So it
Mhm.
cleared out a lot of noise in my life, a lot of
Mm. That's awesome.
people that were also kind of like noise. And I remember sitting on Friday night at home as I'm single, and it was like summer night, and it felt like I should be out there doing something, partying or socializing. And I just didn't find a group of friends who I felt like I would connect with at the moment. And it was just kind of interesting to sit with it, like a bit of fear of missing
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and just curiosity is like, why, like what is happening now, before you have new habits or new people or new activities to do, there's that space of clearance. There's a space where you let go of some old habits or old ways of being or old groups of friends or social circles. And it's not immediate that you feel in that space with something new. There's that pause where it's just empty space for a moment. And that can be a little uncomfortable. That can be a
Very
little,
uncomfortable.
yeah.
I love the way you just talked about that because it's so good when we find ourselves in those moments where you were, and if we can actually just sit in it, we can learn a
Mhm.
lot from it.
Yeah.
And most people just try to avoid it. They're like, I can't sit with it. I can't sit by myself. I got to go. So they would have probably just reacted and gone out, with the friends. But yeah, like there's just this really beautiful on the other side of that, something like really beautiful lies. And I do believe a lot of it is like really learning deeply about who you are.
Mm. It's learning who you are. It's seeing that. It's almost like you're meeting yourself anew, and you're looking at yourself as you're learning truly, like, what is it that I am, without all that noise and junk and distractions and just running around and being everywhere without understanding the purpose of it. And then really big part of it is accepting. It kind of comes back to like a sentiment we made earlier, but there are all these expectations. Like, I wish, like, I don't wish now, but like there is a vision of me how I thought I was going to be when I grew up, and there is a version of me that's actually me.
Hmm.
And those moments to meet yourself truly and to see that you are might be in some ways different. For me, I understood that I'm more sensitive, I am more romantic and sentimental, I'm less about financial achievement as a measure of my success. I'm more about connection. And those are softer, gentler, more feminine things that, again, coming from Russian culture, where we are very dominant, we're very much success and material achievements driven. Um, like, and I like that image. I really do like that image when I watch movies. So when I have like some female like role models in my life, I admire those women. But understanding that actually I have slightly different motivation in life,
Hmm.
and I'm not as, like if I were to judge myself in the moment, I'm like, maybe I'm not as badass because I don't want to make like $10 million, and that's not how I would measure my success. And accepting that and being like, okay, like let's figure out what actually I'm about, and realign everything like puzzle pieces from that point on.
Oh, that's amazing. That is such good advice, and just, some great statements there. I think that all of us can be reminded of and learn from, because yeah, it's really finding your true identity. And I feel you've done such a good job, especially the last few years, of getting there. And as your friend, I'm so proud of you and so excited to see what you're going to do next. So we will definitely have to have Masha back on the show for part two, or Masha 2.0, or,
Not
you
even
know,
2.0 by now, it's like 25.0.
yeah, I know. I was like, it's actually a higher point oh, but
Yeah.
um, any last advice that you'd like to give to maybe some of those younger women out there who are feeling stuck at a job, or they're feeling not happy where they're at? What would you tell them? What piece of advice would you share?
Well, to me, it was always important to be self reliant. So while dreaming my dreams, like, and if somebody has a job that's not inspiring to them, maybe not quitting the job tomorrow is a good idea. Maybe figuring out what you're about and having a solid business plan while you still may be able to like pay your bills and take care of yourself. I think that's like, the sweet spot between going for something and being rational. And I think it's, as self-made entrepreneur yourself, like that's a fine balance to be able to achieve. And sometimes you're not perfectly right in the middle. But yes, keep your eyes and keep your heart open and keep dreaming and figuring out what you want your life to be about. But don't just take care of yourself and don't provide for yourself in the meantime. And so that's kind of marrying your heart and your brain, your rational and your dreamy sides.
Mm.
And yeah, but other than that, when you do see and when you do feel like you found what it is that's yours, then you're gonna have to go for it.
You go for it. I
Yes.
100% agree. Masha, if people would love to continue following your story, or,
Mhm.
seeing what the new vision is for you in your career, is there somewhere they could do that at?
They currently can find me on Instagram, Masha_level up. And this Instagram is basically useless right now, but it is in my plans to start producing quality content. But right now, if you want pictures of me and my food and some celery juice, then that's
Uh,
there. But there
it's
will be,
okay. Just a millennial posts, are typical millennial.
I got all the
But
standard things checked off there.
awesome. Well, thanks so much, Masha, for being on the show today. I'm so excited to see what's next for you. And for everyone out there, just like she stated, find out what you really want out of life. And then once you find that, you just have to go for it. Don't hold back. So,
Cheers to that.
cheers to that, and cheers to all of you. And we will see you next time.